Do your abstract paintings feel a bit too busy, maybe looking a bit messy? In this video, I'll show you how simplifying values can transform your compositions. Hi there, I'm Janine. I'm an artist and I share my creative journey on this channel. You might have seen me work on these paper paintings for a while. If not, I'll pop a playlist link in the description box for you. They're still looking a bit all over the place, so I want to simplify the compositions by changing some of the values, the light and the dark areas. I'll start with these dark areas. I think they're a bit too dark. I want a little bit less contrast here. So I'm going to choose a similar colour to this, but make it a little bit lighter. So I'll add a touch of white. This is zinc white, which is transparent. And I'll also add a little bit of this flow medium. You could also use an airbrush medium or glazing fluid, but I've got this one out, so I'll just use that. Even a touch lighter. The problem with mixing white into your paint is that it'll make it look a bit chalky, but I can go over that with a glaze afterwards if it does look too chalky with a more saturated colour. I just keep on adding blue because I don't want it to be too saturated. I'm going for an orangey brown vibe, but a muted one. It's very pink currently. We'll see if I like that later. I will scratch into that a little bit so you get just the tiniest bit of what was there before. I do think it's still too light, so I'll take some white while it's still kind of wet. Maybe even a bit more of the yellow. It's not so pinky. Especially here where it's closer to the light colour. I want it to be lighter. A little bit lighter down here as well. I might remove some of this actually. Maybe I make this a bit lighter too. Also these bits here. And I think I'll make these here a little bit more like that green as well, and possibly even a bit more solid. I did leave this brush in water so it looks a little bit sad, but I'll use it anyway. It might add some interesting texture. It's a bit too blue. I want it to be a bit more green. I think I want all of this a touch more yellow. So I'll do this one, and then we'll see how dry this is. I might have to leave this to dry before I move on. I just want a really thin glaze. That's probably already too much. I think I'll leave that to dry. I think I want to lighten all of this even more. Maybe even make it a bit more a yellow tint. Quite like that. Maybe not exactly like this, but I like the idea of having yellow up here. And this I want to make less purple. I think more of this burnt sienna colour. Might even use some burnt sienna. I quite like that with a little bit of purple here. And then it turns into the pink there. I think I'll do a little bit of what I did on the other one, where I just make quite an uncontrolled mark. And then I have to respond to that. I quite like this down here. I like how it's adding a lot of warmth to this. I feel like this was way too cool. I feel like it needed something down here. I'm not sure about that though. Maybe I'll add a bit more of this blue colour. Now here, it's all looking very red. I think I want to add a bit more yellow to balance out this bit, but much more subtle. I've already got the yellow here, it's convenient. Just mix a little bit of the other colours in here so it's not as saturated. That was too much. Well, I've got very little paint on the brush. I'm going to kind of blend it into the other areas with dry brushing. I will leave little bits of what's underneath here, so I'm not covering everything completely. Up here as well, where it's a little bit lighter. Might even go a bit darker up here. I think this light value here was a bit distracting. And something a tiny bit more saturated here. I also just go a little bit over this, but quite transparent. I think these are a bit too yellow now. Just add a bit of the darker colour, or more muted colour. Might have to let it dry first, it's very wet now. Some of this here I want to make a bit darker. This is very light here, but I do like, might even move the blue up here a little bit. See if I can add a bit more yellow. Actually, I think I might just have a light bit here and make this all a little bit darker. I have this colour which I mixed from all of the three primaries I'm using, and that's much easier to just add into the colours I'm using than constantly mixing it from scratch. That's a bit dark. Maybe I'll even go over this, but this is still not dry. I can do that later. I want to add a few more bits of yellow, brighter yellow. Maybe here where there's already a tiny bit of yellow, I'll add some more. Maybe down here somewhere, so it moves the eye down here as well. Up here it's lost some now. Not sure about these bits I've added here. Just need something a touch darker here. Quite like that I added a little bit of texture here, which I didn't plan. I like it. Right, I'll leave that to dry first.
If you like this video, consider subscribing.
I think this bit is standing out quite a lot, so I'm going to make that more similar to the other blues here. A little bit lighter. I think these light values are a little bit distracting, so I'm going to go over those. But I still want it to be quite a light colour. It's just a bit too much texture here. This is maybe a bit too yellow. Even a touch lighter. I think actually a lot of this could be a bit more yellow. So I'm going to add a glaze. Get some more of my medium. I want quite a warm yellow. So I added a bit of pink. I'm probably going to have to take away a lot of this. I'm just going to add it roughly and then spread it around with my cloth. Just leave this little bit of stronger blue here. This
This I think could be a bit darker, a bit like here. I think I still need to reduce the texture around here. I think this is sticking out, standing out a lot. I'm going to make it lighter and maybe even a bit more yellow. And I don't like this corner here. This needs to be a little bit darker. It's a bit too dark. Here I think this colour is not quite right. I want it to be blue but lighter. I'm now basically just using white and the blue that's left on my brush from that. I think it could also be a bit warmer. Not sure it's quite the right colour, but I'll leave it to dry. Maybe work on this down here a little bit. I think that can also be a bit warmer. And this is too dark, it's too distracting. Make that a bit lighter. I want like the brownish colour. Making it a bit lighter. Got a bit too much water on my brush. Don't want to be too careful and only paint over over the shape that I want to change the colour of. I'm kind of trying to at least not cover everything or go out of the lines a little bit. I think also these dark areas here could do with being a bit lighter. Yeah, but way too much white here. I don't want it to be that white. This is very pink. I'll keep this little bit that's a tiny bit darker here. I have to do that a bit more yellow later. Yeah, this could also be a bit more yellow. That was way too much pink again. This pink is very potent. Yeah, I think this will definitely have to be toned down more. I'll let it dry first. This is dried now. I'm just going to mix the colour on here now. I can see what colour I want. I'm also going to spray some water on here. It'll make me it'll help me blend this better. I think I need to be a bit rougher with it, not so precise. And then up here I might actually use a more this kind of colour. Could do with a bit of interest down here. Keep this light bit here. It was just standing out a bit too much. Same with this. Not quite sure what to do with this one. I do like a lot of the texture. Maybe just have to lighten this bit as well. I think it's those weird shapes that I'm not keen on. So even I quite like this one already, I don't like it yet enough for it to be finished. So what I'm going to do is something a little bit more drastic. I'm going to mix maybe kind of a yellowish brown colour. And then just make a very uncontrolled mark. Without thinking, really. I actually quite like what it's done to this here. And now I'm going to have to respond to this to make the composition work again. So I think the way this is going down here is a bit too distracting, so I'm going to just blend that in here a little bit. I might leave this to dry first and then look at it with fresh eyes. I think here I'll have, this went quite dark now. I think I'll add a really light mark as well. That was quite good already, actually. I think this is too dominant. Go over that. Just make this a little bit lighter. Maybe not this light. I like how it's added a few really light bits. I'll make this light as well, that's already quite light. I just really don't like this blob. I think I'm going to paint over it. This I quite like already. I think down here I might have to make it a bit more solid. And a little bit more texture up here. I think just this is a little bit out of place. I'm adding some this brown over it. So it's not so green. This here could also do with it being a bit more solid. At least some of it.
I hope this showed you how you can adjust the values in your paintings to make them feel less busy. What are your tips for a better composition? Let me know in the comments. If you've missed how these paintings started, you can watch the whole progress so far in the playlist I've linked in the description box. Thanks and bye bye.